Morning watchers, Scott at SA Landscaping, Saturday the 24th of June, and guess what? Yes, I'm out at work again. Reason being today is watering plants. At the moment it's really warm in the northeast, and we've put the last of the plants in last week, so we're all finished with planting, but it's a matter of keeping them alive. Now luckily you get good and bad days, so in the week I was out one night late, and I was also I also had to miss a day of grass cutting to drop on other things in the week, and it means that everything else is sort of crammed into other times and you're running slightly behind, just because the watering's the key one, because at 50 pence a plant times thousands, you can't afford to lose them. So I'm out today. The good news is it rained last night, and it rained heavily, and I made a couple of calls to friends I've got in local villages and towns who said it was also tipping in town. But the problem is you still need to come out, because some areas are under trees in shade, they won't get as much water. Some areas under trees, also the tree takes all the water, so you still need to water beds. The good news is, what should have been 5 hours this morning, I'm already halfway through the day and it is 7:10, and I've only had to water 6 beds up to now, and I'm going to have to do another 4. So it's a canny shift. It's worked out. It means I'll probably be back in the house for 10 o'clock rather than sort of early afternoon. And these are the ups and downs of contracts, where you get paid to plant, you get paid to keep things alive. It's something you put in the tender, but some years you never have to water. Like going back 4 or 5 years, it was rare that we had to water stuff, because you got rain, dry. Whereas now we get these dry spells for 3, 4, 5 days, and then you might get a little bit of rain, and then you get a dry spell for 2 weeks. So you need to get out and you need to do it. So the Bowser I invested in years ago is worth its weight in gold. Quite ironic that I think I paid £5,000 for it, and it now stands at 10. So everything's doubled in price. Basic plastic water Bowser that you tow, roadworthy, and it has a Honda engine. That's it, nothing else to it. So that's where we are today. But the topic of conversation on the header there was complaints, and I had to have a council meeting last week because I was getting a couple of complaints from a couple of council members. Now you've got to remember that when contracts are drawn up, council members change quite often, so every few years the council members get elected. So this contract that I'm talking about was made a few years ago, and it was different members than there is today. So these members don't know what's in the tender. So basically we had a meeting and we sat around the table, and I said the best thing we can do is we can go to the site and I can show you everything that everything we get paid for, everything that we do sort of ad hoc and for free, because as people know, I do a lot of work sort of winter time and stuff like that, where I'll do stuff for free as a sort of bonus. It keeps the client happy. They're getting value for money once they know that, which I'll come on to in a bit. But it keeps everyone happy, and like I say, it's added value, so that when the contract's up for renewal, I'll go to them and say, look, this thing here that I've done, this edge and a footpath, that would have been £400. This moss clearing, that would have been £250. So in the 3 years that I've worked for you, this site here, you've saved £10,000. Now is it worth going to tender and the company charging you that 10,000 plus the contract, or is it worth giving me it back? And usually they sit down, they ponder the numbers, seek a bit of advice, and they decide that you're the best man to stay on. So like I say, we went to the site, which I'll show you now. So we're at the job in question, and if I spin you around, what we get paid for is to cut this grass 33 times a year and box it off. Now I will say, it does always look tidy like this, but we did mulch it last week because there was no horizons on it. We also get paid to trim around the obstacles 33 times a year. So as you can see, there's no long grass. We get paid for a couple of visits to these shrubs a year, so these are due now, but if you look at them, it's just a matter of shaping them around into balls. There's not a huge amount on them. Something we do for free. We paint this fence in the winter, so I'll buy a bit of fence paint. Same right up the top where the soil storage area is. Build up some moss. We don't get paid for, but once a year we'll go in with a moss brush and tidy it up. Now, one of the complaints that I originally got was the edging, and what they said is, why isn't it edged back to the curb? And as I explained, we get paid to cut the grass and strim, so we strim along the edge. What we do for free is twice a year with an edging iron, we'll edge it back to the footpath, and then all these gaps in the middle I'll spray. As you can see, it's all yellow weeds. I'll spray that a couple of times a year, probably 3 times. The edging and the weed killing I do for free, and they didn't realise that. They obviously didn't know what the situation was. Same with these concrete graves. To keep it tidy, the family should be looking after these, but some of them are old, so it's the same again. I'll weed kill them, and it's just to keep them tidy. Once again, we don't get paid for that. And as we come up, forget about this middle section. This is, we're waiting on a paver coming, and what's going to happen is, because the hearses are getting bigger and the vehicles are getting bigger, we're going to get more paving done, and we're going to put some pots on. We get paid to do the yew hedge, which I think I've done on a previous video, twice a year. We get paid to weed the rose bed, and as you can see, no weeds in the rose bed, all nice and tidy. And then coming up to here, it's the same again, weekly grass cuts. And I challenge people to find cemeteries that's as well maintained as this one, and we get some good feedback about it. I mean, if you look at that, there's no grass everywhere, it's cut and collected around the headstones, is nice and trimmed where we can get in. The next question was, why is the graves like that, full of grass? And the reason is we don't get paid to move obstacles, so that's the family's job. What they should have is only 2 monuments and nothing else. And then if we find another one, it's a bit messy. So ones like this, where they've got lots going on, we won't strim in amongst there. And that was one of the other complaints, which once I explained, that's where we stood. That thing in the distance is where we store our soil, and that's something else we, as I explained, we painted. And then when they came onto these areas, which I dug over a couple of years ago, and they still hadn't decided what to do. This was the old members, so same again, I explained to them, look, we rotivated it, we levelled it off. The plan was to seed it, but I wasn't given the go-ahead in the end. Now we've finally been given the go-ahead because it needs tidying up. So same again, I've been weed killing it for free, and the plan is to finally put some grass seed on. So overall, we've got a cemetery that, like I say, in the northeast of England, there's not many cemeteries that look as tidy as this, probably in the country anyway. But it's just a matter of the members realising that things like the edging, the weeding, the painting, and from time to time we'll go in amongst these graves, which it's up to the family to maintain sort of bits and pieces where we can't get in amongst there where we can't get strimmers in, and they've got lots of lights. It's up to them. From time to time we will do stuff like that. So that's where we are, and as I explained earlier, that's our water bowser. So the outcome of the site visit was members of the council were happier because they realised that yes, everything he gets paid for he's doing. Now that's not always the case. Like I say, sometimes I do get complaints, sometimes we do miss things and human error and other things, so hold my hands up there. But on this occasion, like many others, it was a case of yes, he's doing everything in the contract and more, because we're getting this and this for free. So they come away happy. As well as that, a couple of the members are going to start a working group. A couple couple of the sort of older people in the village are going to start a working group where they're going to do little bits and pieces themselves, so little bits of tidying up, little bits of cleaning, little bits of painting. They're going to start doing themselves, so it can only improve the area, and obviously it's people taking pride in the area as well, so that's a good thing. So that's what came out of it. I was happy because I did go into the meeting originally knowing that we're doing everything, but I will say that not every one of our cemeteries looks like that, and the reason being, we do have cemeteries like other people have that only get cut 16 times a year. So you leave grass on the surface, you don't clean it up. Not every council has the budget, or not every council directs the budget in the right place and decides to spend it on something else. So that's where you are. Not all councils are good. Some of them, like I say, they spend the money in different places, and it's not always the right thing. Whereas things like cemeteries and stuff that people use often are good places to spend money. So that's where we are. But as I said earlier, you'll never get 100% satisfaction. It's like any trade. It's like whether you sell stuff in a supermarket. Sometimes your food will be bad, or like I say, whether you drive a road sweeper for a living, and you'll not always be able to get every area in a village because there's some cars and people will pick up on bits you've missed and stuff, down to, like I say, sometimes it's human error, other times it's obviously staff from time to time. But it's a matter of, when I visit my sites, it's a matter of leaving them basically as you'd it's a matter of leaving them in the best state you can for the budget, and like I say, more if you can. So as I said previous, if you price a job up and you set aside that job and think, right, I'm pricing this for 3 hours per fortnight or per visit, what you do is, if you get done in 2.5 hours, some people think, right, I've got 4 jobs done that I priced for 3 hours today, and I've done them all in 2.5, so I've saved myself 2 hours, and I'm in the house 2 hours early. It's only a 10-hour shift instead of a 12. I'm the other way, whereas I'll think, right, what can I do in that half an hour to tidy this site up? Can I do something extra? Can I do something better just to improve it? And it's just about spending the time you're already getting paid for. And like I say, that can go 2 ways. One person will think, if I do a job faster, I'm out of there faster. I'm the other way. I'll chuck a little bit of weed killer on that'll probably cost you £2 or something like that. That'll just improve it. And on improving it, it makes your job easier, because although them footpaths there, we weed kill a few times a year. If we didn't weed kill them, there'd be weeds growing high, and we'd end up having to trim them just to finish a tidy job anyway. So it's a matter of pride in your work as well. So that's where we are. But it's been another busy week, hectic week, like I say, with the water and getting the last of the plants in. As I explained, we've got a new man on board, and I've been helping him out because he's been doing a few commercial jobs for me this last week, and I've been explaining what things cost, which I don't think he'll mind me saying. He does watch the videos. He got a bit of a shock for some things when I told him that this job that he was on would usually take me 4 hours and there's X amount of money in it, and he thought that it would take sort of 6 or 7 and there'd be a lot more money in it. And I've said commercial isn't the cash cow people think it is. Domestic, you can make good money in domestics, just going in and cutting Mrs. Jones's grass for £20. So that's where we are with it. Yes, there's money in it, and there's high-end money in once you get into the big jobs, but a lot of it is like units and things where you're in and out. It's not a huge amount of money you're making, and you've got to be productive, and you've got to, same with the shrubs and hedges and everything, you've got to knock them out fast to make any money. You've got to be on the ball, because there's other companies out there who will operate a bit faster than you and can do it a bit cheaper than you. So that's the other thing. It's about delivering speed, efficiency, quality at a decent cost. That's what I would say anybody looking to branch into commercial. It's them's the 4. Whereas if you're in Mrs. Jones's garden and she's paying you £30 an hour, you can sort of be steady away, and you can 90% of them customers will be happy for you to deliver and just steady away and just go about the garden, and you've only got that small garden to maintain, so you can usually keep on top of it. I'm talking about sites that the scale of acres and acres, where some of them the strimmer might be 4 hours or the grass cut might be 3 hours or one. So that's the jobs. On the other hand, not everybody talks about prices, but just to give you a rough idea, with that cemetery, with the grass cutting, the shrub maintenance, the rose bed pruning, oh, that's something else as well. I fertilise the beds, which we don't get paid for, so I'll buy a bag. I think I showed on a previous video, I'll buy a bag of rose fertiliser and we'll put it on all the roses and beds and stuff. So that's something else that ticks a box. But just to give you a rough idea, we have got to collect the grass and take it away, so that comes at a cost. Your fuel comes at a cost, your wear and tear comes at a cost. But that cemetery there is worth roughly 20 grand a year, just to give you an idea where it's at. If it wasn't cut and collect, you're probably dropping that 20 grand a year to maybe about 14, I would say, because you can cut the grass 3 times faster than cutting and collecting. You haven't got the rubbish to take away, so you're probably down to about 14 grand. You've still got the shrubs and hedges and weeding and things to do, so that's where we are. But that is a big site. I mean, that's a decent sized cemetery that we look at. We've got smaller ones, we've got larger ones. So just another talking video today, but hopefully it'll help people in the quest to make money, because it is just difficult to get any videos out at the moment of machinery, which I've got, like, as you know, I've got new machines, I've got 8 battery and things that people want to see in action. I've got the triple that people want to see how we get news, which is had a service on, which is another story we'll talk about on a video, because that service was a bit of a shock, which I'll talk about. But yeah, that's it for today. So any questions on anything you've seen, and I am trying to catch up on the emails. I know there's people still waiting on replies, but as I said previous, I've never known the amount of sort of help people are wanting out there. Sometimes it's 6, 7, 8 emails a week, and I can only respond to so many. So I will get round to everybody eventually, but it's just very time consuming. So thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.